don't bring up a guy who averaged 5 points a game. I'm not gonna stoop to his level. You average 5 points a game, shut the hell up.
Talking about basketball that don't know basketball. You got fools like Kendrick Perkins come dressing like a clown.
Kendrick Perkins got completely shut down on live TV by Charles Barkley. And then Shaquille O'Neal made the whole thing even more brutal. It all started when Perkins went on national television and called Michael Jordan petty. Yes, Michael Jordan, the 6-time NBA champion who never lost in the finals. And the reason? It honestly sounded ridiculous. Perkins claimed Jordan Brand stopped sending him free sneakers. That was it. According to him, no more shoe boxes suddenly meant Jordan was petty. Coming from a guy who averaged just 5 points a game, the take instantly rubbed people the wrong way. But Barkley didn't just disagree. He went straight at him. He called Perkins an idiot, a fool, and reminded everyone that a role player has no business judging one of the greatest athletes ever. Then Shaq jumped in and made things even uglier. He gave Perkins a nickname so harsh that fans still repeat it to this day. And just when it couldn't get worse, Draymond Green added his own shots from the sidelines. What followed turned into one of the wildest beatdowns sports TV has ever seen. And the craziest part? Perkins walked straight into it himself. The whole mess began when Perkins did what he always does best. Say something loud enough to explode on social media, even if there's nothing behind it. No deep basketball breakdown. No smart analysis. Just a personal story he thought would make Michael Jordan look bad.
Jordan looks small.
Look, let me say this, Molly. So I keep J's on my feet. I used to get boxes in the mail all the time of the J's before they even hit the stores. As soon as I said that LeBron James was the GOAT, those boxes stopped coming.
Think about what Perkins really admitted on live TV for a second. One of the biggest sneaker brands in the world was sending him free shoes before the public could even buy them. Most people would be thankful for that. But the second those boxes stopped showing up, the attitude changed completely. Perkins called Michael Jordan petty for choosing who gets his products and who doesn't. But this is the same Jordan who built a sneaker deal into a business empire worth billions, bringing in more than $7 billion every single year. That's not being petty. That's making a business move. The real issue was that Perkins started acting like those free shoes were something he deserved instead of something he was lucky to receive. And that mindset is exactly what pushed Barkley over the edge. The moment Barkley heard what Perkins said, there was no holding back. No calm response. No trying to play nice. Someone told Barkley that Perkins had called his opinion asinine. And Barkley fired back instantly.
Immediately.
First of all, don't bring up a guy who averaged 5 points a game. I'm not going to stoop to his level. You average 5 points a game, shut the hell up.
5 points.
That number became Barkley's favorite weapon. He kept bringing it up again and again, refusing to let it go. Because in Barkley's world, your career speaks for you. Your resume is everything. So when a guy with a 5-point scoring average starts calling a 6-time champion petty, it's going to get ugly fast. And Barkley made sure it did. Perkins tried to talk like he was an expert on greatness. Barkley reminded him loudly and publicly that greatness was never part of Perkins' story in the first place. There was no holding back, no second thoughts, and definitely no apology after it was over. But this wasn't just about one bad comment. Barkley had clearly been fed up for a long time. For years, Perkins had been on TV throwing out wild takes, saying things built more for headlines than real basketball talk. And Barkley had been watching all of it, quietly stacking up every ridiculous moment, waiting for the perfect time to unload. Then that moment finally came. On Inside the NBA, Perkins went on air and claimed the Los Angeles Lakers had saved the NBA season, as if the whole league would have fallen apart without one team showing up. The second Barkley heard that take, he fired back immediately.
I saw a fool idiot on TV talking about the Lakers saved the NBA.
Save the NBA?
Yeah.
Idiot. Fool. Barkley said both words twice on live television, just to make sure nobody missed them. This wasn't some friendly basketball debate anymore. This turned personal fast. Barkley basically drew a line across sports media. On one side were people who earned respect through years of elite competition. On the other side were guys living off hot takes and loud opinions. And, in Barkley's eyes, Perkins was standing on the wrong side of that line. Millions of people watched it happen live. But somehow, it still got worse. Because after calling Perkins an idiot and a fool, Barkley didn't stop there. He launched into a sarcastic rant that completely tore Perkins apart. Every achievement from Perkins' NBA career got turned into a joke right in front of the cameras. And the way Barkley delivered it made the whole thing even more brutal.
20 average, Chuck. 5 points. He was the glue, though. He was the glue.
Leave that man alone.
Philadelphia.
You got an opinion, man.
Averaged the whole 5 points a game. And he was the lead.
The glue guy. Barkley said it with the kind of sarcasm that hurts way more than a straight-up insult. Because everyone around basketball knows what that phrase really means. It's the nice way of saying you were never the star. Never the reason fans bought tickets. Never the player people came to watch. Then came the real punchline. 5 points and a leader. That line hit hard because people knew there was truth behind it. Barkley wasn't just joking around. He was reminding everyone exactly who Perkins was as a player compared to the legends he was criticizing. And the crazy part? Barkley wasn't even the only one going after him like this. Shaq had been doing it for years. At one point, Shaq was supposed to be breaking down an actual NBA game on TV. Instead, he turned the entire segment into a full-on roast of Kendrick Perkins' career.
Perkins' career.
I need more out of Serge, and I need more.
I know that.
I need more out of the great Kendrick Perkins. 4 points, 5 rebounds, and what? I'm going with OKC once the great Kendrick Perkins steps his game up.
The great Kendrick Perkins. Shaq said it with so much fake respect that it somehow sounded even more disrespectful. He talked about Perkins like he was some all-time superstar, while bringing up his 4- and 5-point games like they were legendary performances. Then he acted like the entire NBA was just waiting for Perkins to finally take over the league. Every single line was loaded with sarcasm, and everybody watching understood the joke instantly. That's what made this whole situation even rougher for Perkins. Shaq and Barkley had already been clowning him long before the Michael Jordan comments ever happened. To them, Perkins was already an easy target. Calling Jordan petty just handed them even more material. And once you go after legends in that group, it's never just one person coming back at you. The entire room joins in. Shaq didn't stop at jokes either. He gave Perkins a nickname that stuck to him everywhere he went. And then Barkley stepped in and explained exactly how it all started.
Shaq is so sensitive at times. Right. Because I was going to, like, let it go. And he's like, nah. My mama told me growing up, we kill all roaches. And I said, like, so that's how the whole roast thing came up. Right. And so anytime anything happened right now, Shaq's like,
a roach. That's what Shaq called Perkins. And it wasn't a one-time thing said in the heat of an argument. A running theme developed that followed Perkins across every platform he appeared on. Every time an outrageous claim hit the airwaves, every time a hot take landed that didn't match the credentials behind it, Shaq pulled out the same line. We killing roaches. The origin of it coming from Shaq's own mother. A lesson she taught him growing up gave the whole thing a weight that went beyond trash talk. It felt like a philosophy. You don't debate roaches. You don't argue with them. You eliminate them. And the fact that Barkley admitted he was going to let the whole thing go before Shaq escalated it tells you everything about how that room operated. Barkley was ready to move on, but Shaq refused. Because in Shaq's mind, you don't give people like Perkins an inch. And it wasn't just Barkley and Shaq. Even Draymond Green, a current player with no connection to the old guard's inner circle, came out and said what everyone in basketball was already thinking.
Talking about basketball that don't know basketball. You got fools like Kendrick Perkins come dressing like a clown. Come up here in a gel suit.
Now, it wasn't just retired legends going after Perkins anymore. A current NBA champion stepped in too. Draymond Green flat out called him a fool who doesn't understand basketball. And that hit differently, because this wasn't some old school player talking about the past. This was an active player still battling every single night in the league. Draymond watched Perkins on television and basically came to one conclusion. This guy says things for attention, not because he actually understands the game. He even separated basketball media into two groups. The people who teach the game and bring real insight. and the people who chase drama because controversy is all they have left. And according to Draymond, Perkins clearly belonged in that second group. At that point, the criticism was coming from everywhere. Current players, Hall of Famers, TV analysts, different generations, all saying the exact same thing about Perkins' credibility. That alone told the whole story. But somehow, things still got worse. Perkins later went on First Take and claimed that 80% of NBA MVP voters were white. The problem? The NBA releases its voter list publicly every single year. And once people actually looked at the names, it became obvious the voting panel was far more diverse than Perkins claimed.
The correction came on air.
When Kendrick Perkins said 80% of NBA voters for the MVP award are white. The NBA publicly announces the voters each year, and after review, it is clear the panel is much more diverse than what was portrayed by Kendrick Perkins, and we wanted to make sure that we corrected that.
That moment changed everything. First Take, a show built around strong opinions and heated debates, actually had to stop and issue a public apology. Think about how rare that is. A program made for hot takes had to correct one of its own analysts because the claim was so far off that leaving it unchallenged would have looked completely irresponsible. And that's the same person who turned around and called Michael Jordan petty. That's the credibility behind the accusation. But this story became bigger than just Hall of Famers roasting a TV personality. Because Barkley wasn't only going after Perkins. He was taking aim at an entire sports media culture. A culture where the LeBron versus Jordan debate became the easiest content possible. Pick a side, yell as loud as you can, go viral, repeat the cycle tomorrow. Real basketball knowledge? Actual analysis? Honest insight? None of that seemed to matter anymore. And Barkley had been calling this out long before Perkins made those comments about Jordan. He was already tired of watching sports media turn serious basketball conversations into nonstop drama and noise.
And this lame-ass LeBron-Michael Jordan debate, which is lame. I've said for years, the only people talk about LeBron and Michael is people on television who got no talent to talk about anything else. I've been saying that for years. I ain't hanging on to the 90s. I've always said LeBron's great, Michael's great. But y'all talk about it all the time.
And that's really the heart of the whole argument. At the end of the day, whether Michael Jordan is petty or not almost doesn't even matter. A guy that competitive probably used every insult, every slight, and every bit of disrespect as fuel anyway. That's part of what made him who he was. But Barkley's real point was something deeper. Perkins never earned the right to sit there and judge someone like Jordan. The years weren't there. The sacrifice wasn't there. The pain, the pressure, the wear and tear that legends like Jordan and Barkley put their bodies through. Perkins never reached that level. He averaged 5 points a game, got handed a microphone after retirement, and suddenly started speaking like the final authority on greatness. That's what Barkley couldn't stand. And the ending made the whole situation even more telling. Eventually, Perkins admitted that even his own wife thought the feud with Barkley was pointless and embarrassing. She told him the whole thing was stupid and pushed him to end it before it got even.
And she was like,
Right.
you ever thought, what are you and Barkley taking shots at each other for? Why are y'all beefing? And I said, she said, it's just stupid. So I reached out and he responded, Big Perk, man, hey, listen, you're doing an outstanding job. We shouldn't be throwing shots at each other in the NBA Finals.
Let's link up and break bread. Even Perkins' own wife told him the whole situation was getting out of hand. And when he finally reached out, Barkley responded in a way that surprised a lot of people. Calm, respectful, no extra drama. And that's where the difference really shows. Barkley can say harsh things in the heat of the moment. He can call someone a fool, an idiot, even drag up their career stats without mercy. But when the cameras are off, he can still treat people like human beings. No long grudges. No personal hate. Just clear standards. And whenever someone in media crosses that line, he doesn't hesitate to point it out. Perkins wanted attention when he called Michael Jordan petty. And he got it. Just not the kind he expected. Because what came back was a wave from every direction. Barkley calling him a 5-point scorer and tearing into his credibility. Shaq turning him into a running joke with nicknames and sarcasm. Draymond calling him out as someone who doesn't understand basketball. Even first, take having to correct and walk back his claims on air. It all landed at once. And there wasn't much Perkins could say in response, because most of it came back to one thing, his own record, and how it stacked up against the people he was talking about. That's really what this whole thing comes down to. A line in the sand between people who played at the highest level and built their opinions through experience and people who now talk about that world from studio chair. Barkley wasn't defending Jordan out of loyalty. He was defending the idea that your voice carries weight based on what you actually did in the game. And in his view, Perkins crossed that line. So when it was all said and done, Barkley's message stayed simple and blunt. 5 points a game. Shut up.